Welcome to our news and thank you for joining us. I'm Natalia Hall. We are following several major stories tonight, including the failed billion-dollar FTX venture, now a main international headline, and the return of the man behind the Fyre Festival. But first, as the government ponders its next move, the perpetual soap opera drama around the sale of the Grand Lucayan Hotel. The former board member calls the recent failed sale a huge disappointment. Tonight, attorney and former board member of Lucayan Renewal Holdings, Carrie Leonard, is weighing in on that fallout.
I thought that the group that the government had entered into the negotiations with was an excellent fit for Grand Bahama. So I really was disappointed. The next thing was I thought, well, what held this up? And I'm assuming that they were just waiting on some definite confirmation with respect to the airport.
The former board member says actions like these sometimes discourages business owners from expanding, and as for what he thinks should be done next.
Obviously, what we are currently doing with respect to trying to market and sell this hotel is not working. Let's look at it and be realistic. So I think we need to rethink what we do. That I believe that we need to open up the main section of the hotel, which is the Breakers, which has over 500 rooms, and find somebody to come in and manage it. That was something that was being considered originally in 2018.
He says there is a lot of potential in Grand Bahama.
I think there's still that opportunity there. We have to get our act together. And as I say, we need to take a different approach. One is we've got to get the airport fixed. So I don't see why this particular government can't throw $30 or $40 million to fix this airport right away. They're working hard on the airlift, but the airlift isn't going to work if we don't have an airport and we don't have hotel rooms.
Well, the founder of the failed Fyre Festival called a fugitive now that news is surfacing that he's planning a do-over for the festival, while the Ministry of Tourism denies he has approval for another event, in fact, calling him a fugitive. Here's Berthany McDermott.
The Davis administration making it crystal clear it will not endorse or approve any event in the Bahamas associated with Fyre Festival founder Billy McFarland. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism Chester Cooper made the assertion today after it was revealed that McFarland plans to return to the Bahamas for another event called PYRT, a treasure hunt. On TikTok, he posted this video with clips that appear to be in the Bahamas.
First bottle is officially up for grabs. The treasure hunt starts now.
Really? Yeah. Oh my God, we did it!
Next Friday, you guys are going to the Bahamas for the weekend?
No way.
When we visited PYRT.com, the GPS coordinates for Black Point Exuma are displayed, but according to the DPM, no application has been made for any event promoted by McFarland. The statement adds he is considered a fugitive with several pending complaints made against him with the Royal Bahamas Police Force. But from the TikTok promotional video, it appears they may have already made a trip to the Bahamas.
So we in the Bahamas. I found a bottle, honestly. We went out to the city 3 o'clock in the morning. Basically found the spot. Next morning we went, grabbed the bottle. Now we here, enjoying our life.
The website requires a phone number and says, join the crew. McFarland was jailed for 6 years after a failed concert event never took place. It was promoted on social media by various influencers. However, when they arrived in Great Exuma in April 2017, they were met with chaos as nothing promised was fulfilled. Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Thanks, Berthany. The Bahamas now tied to the FTX fallout as new, worrying details emerge about the company's operations and the allegation of misuse of clients' funds and alleged failure to follow Securities Commission regulations. This as local police alongside the Securities Commission launches an investigation into FTX following last week's collapse of the billion-dollar crypto company. Today, Prime Minister Davis dodging reporters' questions on the matter. Police Commissioner Clayton Fernando telling a local daily that police had yet to meet with Bankman Fried on the matter. FTX filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in the U.S. on Friday. All of its assets were frozen by the Securities Commission and the Bahamas and put into liquidation. FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried lost his $16 billion in fortune in less than a week and resigned from the company. When pressed on the matter today, the Prime Minister said this.
PM, were you surprised about the FTX implosion?
And you'll talk about it another time.
Are you concerned about the image, the country's image?
Well, the bankruptcy and freezing of FTX assets is still sending shockwaves through the cryptocurrency community, and the public is giving mixed reactions. The collapse of FTX, one of the world's largest blockchain exchange, has been making headlines around the world. But here in the Bahamas, many have a closer eye on the story since FTX is headquartered here. Today, we gauge some of those reactions.
For the country to go delve into crypto when not much places really doing that, is, to me, it's just wild.
I think we just like to sometimes blow things out of proportion.
Now to some positive news for Grand Bahama. More than a week after it was announced that the Six Senses Hotel is about to build a mega resort there, one of the project's partners is speaking exclusively to Our News, promising the project will boost Grand Bahama's economy.
So by the end of 2025, beginning of 2026, you have a fully open hotel, world-class hotel, which I don't think is an over-exaggeration when we say it could be and should be the best hotel in the world.
Founder and president of Blue Action Lab, Rupert Hayward, says the announcement of the Six Senses Hotel is about progress. The development and investment team is led by the Weller Development Partners and Pegasus Capital Advisors. Blue Action Lab is also a partner. Hayward says the hotel is one of the #1 hotel brands in the world, and the partners involved are world-class.
Weller Development Partners and Pegasus Capital Advisors are right at the top of their game in development and in financing these types of projects. They're both what I would call triple bottom line businesses. So when they invest and when they develop, they focus on the community around them, and they focus on creating sustainable development models, and obviously they focus on profitability.
Hayward believes the project will boost growth on Grand Bahama and will also focus on sustainability and regeneration. There will be a launch on the 12th of December.
And that will really promote the brand and the partners and be a formal launch of the project.
And once the resort is opened, the president says hundreds of jobs will be created for Grand Bahamians.
It's going to have a marina at the small marina at the back end. It's going to have, I think, 4 to 5 quality restaurants, like world-class restaurants here.
And he is hopeful that the $200 million project will bring Grand Bahamians back home. Well, a warm evening outside the Our News studios tonight. Meteorologist Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with a look at our current conditions. Good evening, Greg.
Yeah, thanks, Natalia, and happy Monday evening, everybody. Our little birdie did tell me there's somebody celebrated a birthday. Well, happy belated birthday, Natalia. Nice conditions on the outside. Temperatures comfortable 82 with a few clouds out there. The winds out of the northeast at 9 miles per hour, and your field-like temperature at 83. Satellite-wise, quiet across the area. Ridge of high pressure is slowly building in, keeping us rather dry. There was a weak front that set up across the northern islands, but it's basically fallen apart. Pre-frontal activity that passed through us yesterday dumped quite a bit of rainfall across portions of the northwest Bahamas. Here in the capital, we got almost up to 2 inches of rainfall in some locations, and we did see some flooding. But all in all, it should be a quiet evening, and we're looking for another beautiful day tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Stick with us, a look at the tropics, and your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on Our News, do you leave your car running while using the ATM? If so, police say you may be putting yourself at risk. But first, the man accused of murdering a mechanic in his car earlier this month appears in court. The details are straight ahead. And it's giving season. The Salvation Army's red kettles make their debut leading up to Christmas. The story coming up when Our News returns. A man accused of fatally shooting an auto mechanic in his car earlier this month is behind bars on a murder charge. Prosecutors say 22-year-old Jerron Woodside killed Lorenz Johnson at Palm Beach Drive on November 4th. Officers responding to reports of gunshots met Johnson dead in the driver's seat of his Kia Soul. Woodside, a resident of Palm Breeze Drive, was denied bail during an appearance before Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt. He returns to court on March 2, 2023. A woman who served 2 years in jail for her role in a 2018 assault resulting in the fatal stabbing of Brianna Mackey is back in prison for attacking another woman. 24-year-old Devania Laws was handed a 1-year prison sentence today after she pleaded guilty to assault with a deadly weapon and causing harm. The charges stem from an incident outside the Ballers Lounge on Andres Avenue on August 31st. Patricia Newman told police that Laws struck her in the head with a bottle before beating her about the body. Laws said she was sorry for her actions, but she claimed that Newman provoked her by taunting about her brother's recent murder. In sentencing, Magistrate Algernon Jr. said that Laws had not been rehabilitated despite serving time for a similar crime. Now, in April 2019, Laws was initially charged with Mackey's murder, took a plea deal, and pleaded guilty to the reduced charge of grievous harm. Laws, who threw rocks and bottles at Mackey while she was ganged in a dispute over a broken phone, was sentenced to 2 years in prison, placed on probation, and ordered to take anger management classes. 4 men are in police custody tonight for breaching their court order bail conditions. Officers from the electronic monitoring unit arrested the men for failing to charge their monitoring devices as well as failing to adhere to their curfews. The arrest occurred between November 7th and the 13th. The men are being monitored for charges that include murder, threats of death, possession of firearm, and breach of bail. Well, a few simple things can save you from becoming a crime victim as we head into the holidays. But first up, be alert. Police say as we celebrate and businesses prepare for busy cash registers, a few basic things can keep criminals away. Press liaison, Chief Superintendent Chrisling Skippings.
There's no need for persons to be sitting in their vehicles trying to talk on the phone when you get home. Have your keys ready and get into your homes quickly. For business owners, I want to say that as we go into this holiday season, you have the opportunity to reach out to your law enforcement agency. We have the Police Staff Association. I'm going to encourage you to write to our commissioner and get the necessary security measure that you need to safeguard your business.
And here's another important tip. Do not leave your car running, no matter how quickly you intend on coming back.
Just a few days ago, I watched an individual at an ATM. They plugged in a certain amount of money. The ATM is only going to give you what you plug in. Why are you standing to the ATM machine counting your money? I want to encourage members of the public, when you go to the ATM machine and you get your monies, quickly and safely put it away and leave.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by Cable Bahamas Business Solutions, the experts for all your business needs. This has been your Financial Market Minute. Cable Bahamas Business Solutions, giving you trusted solutions that work for you and your business. Contact us today.
When our news comes back from the break, how much longer will students be required to wear masks? One pediatrician weighs in. And the plus, you know we're entering the Christmas season when you see the familiar red Salvation Army kettles. We'll tell you what's different about this year's drive on the other side of the break. This is our news. Welcome back. It's been just over a month since the mask mandate dropped in the Bahamas, but school kids and teachers are still masked up. That leaves the question, when will our school children be mask-free? It's the question we put to General Pediatrician Dr. Sherelle Lockhart.
I don't know what's going to happen in terms of whether or not how long they're going to continue having school children wearing masks. I mean, I don't think that we can do it forever. I don't think we should do it forever. And so there's going to be a very fine line as to when we would drop it in schools.
Now, some schools have already begun examining the criteria and what a mask-free environment would look like for which age groups, but that may be closely tied to vaccination rates in kids. The first pediatric doses of the COVID-19 vaccine for children 5 through 11 rolled out in July. That was just 4 months ago. Unlike the United States, the vaccine is not available to children through their private pediatricians.
We were not able to get it into the private offices the way that we thought we would because the paperwork was heavy and difficult for a private office to take time to do. So we figured that just leaving it centralized in the vaccine centers would have been the best thing even for our private patients.
Now switching over to sports, the Bahamas national basketball team with a good showing over the weekend. Meanwhile, Kai Jones takes the floor for the Hornets. Marcellus Hall is up now with a check on sports.
Playing for the Charlotte Hornets this season, seeing his first action this past weekend as the Charlotte Hornets took on the Miami Heat. Kai just playing 1 minute, but he did manage to score 2 points during the course of the contest. Charlotte does not get the win here. They go down by the final of 132 to 115. But again, good to see Kai getting some action out there on the floor. Looking forward to seeing him be much more on the floor as the season progresses during the course of the year. So there it is. That's your check on sports for you here on this Monday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you, Italia.
Still ahead on our news tonight, the Salvation Army rings in cattle season, how you can give back. Slightly cooler conditions across the country, your extended weather outlook is still to come, right here on our news. Welcome back to our news. Mostly sunny skies extending throughout the week. Greg is back in the Weather Center with a look ahead. Greg?
Thanks again, Natalia, and welcome back, everybody, for our final look at weather. Quiet across our area. We did have a prefrontal trough that moved through the northwest Bahamas and portions of the central Bahamas, actually. Dumped quite a bit of rainfall across our area. We got up to about 2 inches here in the capital, but most of that activity is now pushed well to the east of us. There is a weak front that, basically is setting up shop across the northwest Bahamas. It's falling apart as we speak. A couple of isolated showers associated with that system, but all in all, quiet across our area. The ridge of high pressure will continue to dominate our weather through the next several days. There's another front that we're going to be watching that's going to, it's expected to get near sometime Thursday into Friday's time frame. And we will see maybe 1 or 2 isolated showers with that. Not really a cool down with that system as it pushes into the northwest Bahamas. The tropics, we are winding down the Atlantic hurricane season. We have just around 15 days left. 15 days left in the Atlantic hurricane season. Nothing out there, not even a tropical wave, but we do have some activity along the what we call the ITCZ, the Intertropical Convergence Zone, and that's basically going to stay quiet out there for us for the next several days. Taking a look at our future forecasts, that frontal boundary, as I mentioned, not really doing much across us, dry weather across our area, but over the next couple of days we expect a front to be getting in here sometime, and that front is expected to stall once again across the northwest Bahamas sometime on Thursday into Friday, and as I mentioned, we could see 1 or 2 isolated showers with that system once it gets in here. Boating forecast for all areas tonight to tomorrow. Winds will fall off light and variable tonight, but they will be picking up, becoming northeast to east at 10 to 15 knots tomorrow. Seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Tide is presently low, will be high at 3 minutes past midnight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In your extended forecast, couple of spotty showers likely, but all in all it's going to be quiet and dry through Thursday, and then once again, as I mentioned, that frontal boundary should get near sometime by that time frame. Maybe an isolated shower or thunderstorm, but behind that, we do seem to expect a couple of low temperatures during the daytime. That's a look at our weather. Have a safe evening and make it a great night, everybody.
Thanks so much, Greg. Well, finally in news, the bells of the Salvation Army Kettle campaign rang this morning, officially opening this year's Holiday in Red Kettle campaign. At this morning's opening, the Royal Bahamas Police Force Band worked to get the audience into the Christmas spirit with carols, a reading of the Christmas story, and details of previous year's success. Salvation Army Divisional Commander for the Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos Islands, Major Rodolphe Mio, tells us their goal this year.
The goal is $250,000, and this will help not only during the Christmas, this will also take us to all the Salvation Army programs throughout the year 2023 as well.
And a new addition this year is the option to donate with Sand Dollar. Central bank officials like Currency Department Manager Jermaine Campbell hopes that the alternative will help increase donations.
The alternative, so there are lots of people now with Sand Dollars. We're seeing demand going. You know, we have almost 700,000 in Sand Dollars in circulation, and so we hope that, you know, us matching that donation, that we'll have more persons coming to contribute in Sand Dollars and cash to this worthy cause.
The Central Bank of the Bahamas will match Sand Dollars contribution during this year's campaign. Thank you so very much.
Watch more stories like this and all of today's top stories. You can visit ournews.bs. You can also keep up with the latest headlines available all day on the Our News Bahamas Facebook page. Thank you for joining us for Our News Tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Natalia Hall. We'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great evening.